Hello, and welcome to another episode of It's My Legacy podcast. I am your host, Legacy. Today's topic is Can't Nobody Take My Truth? Hello, and welcome to this wonderful episode that we have in store today. If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you are returning, welcome back. I missed you. So today we're talking about, can't nobody take my truth? And that sentence in itself really has so much. It can have really many different contexts. One can be, can't nobody handle it? When saying, can't nobody take my truth? And another saying, can't nobody take my truth away from me? I have been on a journey in learning to express my truth even when it makes other people uncomfortable. And that in itself, baby, is a path, it's a journey, it's a road, I feel like Jonah sometimes, caught up in the whale. Like, I heard God tell me to speak my truth, and I was like, I don't want no problems. I jump on a boat. The men was like, the storm comes. God's like, oh, so you gonna be disobedient? The storm comes. They like, who's causing this storm? I done end up getting thrown off the boat, you know what I'm saying, willingly into the mouth of the whale. Like, child, I'm telling you, I'll be going through some biblical stuff, okay? And God has just been putting it on my heart. You have to tell your truth. And it's not easy. And it hasn't been easy. But little by little, it has been rewarding. So in previous episodes, I have, disclosed that I grew up with two narcissistic parents. I've had in my life, I've been in relationships with narcissists. I've been in situations where I've tried to be silenced, and a lot of that was with abuse. I deal with complex PTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And what that is the difference between that and post-traumatic stress disorder is post-traumatic stress disorder. It only takes one event. It only takes one thing, and you can have that, one traumatic event, and it can affect you. And you can have, post-traumatic stress disorder from it, right? When you have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or also known as also known as complex PTSD, it is normally from someone who has experienced long periods of abuse or consistent, trauma. Like you've dealt with more than one situation of trauma, assault, abuse, all of those things. And I've dealt with abuse from childhood well into my adulthood. And as a child, I was always a truth teller. I was always someone that I spoke my mind, and it wasn't from a place of malice, of course. It was just simply, I was intuitive, and so I would just say what it was. Well, I had gone through so much, and, I speak of a previous relationship where I say that relationship broke me to the point that years of abuse had not. And it broke me down so bad that it chained me to silence. And when you are silenced from expressing yourself, it takes away your power. It takes away your ability to react properly, And properly meaning whether that's defending yourself, whether that's speaking up on your behalf, or whether that's protecting yourself. There seems to be a delay. And the delay can come from fear. The delay can come from fear of repercussions. There's so many reasons that can come about. I have been working on myself to tell the things that I have experienced and set myself free. And, recently, Drew Barrymore, who I absolutely love and adore, she had this young woman named Jeanette. I believe her last name was McClurkin. She wrote this book, I'm Glad My Mom Died. And the book talks about her relationship with her mother and just everything she experienced. And, her mother was very abusive towards her, and she grew up in the industry. She was on Nickelodeon, and just what being a child star did to her and how it affected her and her mother's relationship with it. It was a lot, not in a negative way, but there was a lot that she had experienced. And she courageously and bravely spoke her truth. And, Drew said, how do we tell our truth even when we want to protect those that we love, our mothers, our boyfriends, our siblings, our whoever? How do we have that courage? And, that question, I'm so glad that Drew asked that question. And I really, just for a second sidebar, would like to say, I hope Drew Barrymore knows how well she's doing on this talk show. I hope that she knows how gratifying and in tuned she is with her guests, with the words that she says, with her reactions. I mean, she just seems like a big ball of love. There was this fur or faux fur that Rihanna had wore many years ago, and it was in the shape of a heart. And it was so cute. And when I think of Drew Barrymore, I think of her like that. Like, she's just a big heart, a beautiful heart, and a champion for healing. And she's so just incredible. And I just adore her. I bow to her greatness. She's amazing. So I just had to give it up for her. And I hope that she knows how wonderful she is doing. I know a lot of times when we go into things that we haven't done before, or, the stakes are really high, we sometimes question, how well are we really doing? And I hope she knows she's incredible, and please keep at it, because she asked all the right questions with a level of sincerity that I've never seen on television ever. And I grew up watching Oprah and Jenny Jones and Ricki Lake and Maury and Montel Williams, and they were all great at what they did. But there's something about the way that she is even the way she looks at you when you're answering a question. I watched the interview she did with Selma Blair and I cried. I watched her interview with Justin Long and I fucking almost jumped out of my bed, because they were always my favorite couple, and they were, to me, kindred spirits. And seeing them on television together, I mean, Going the Distance is my favorite rom-com to this day. I love that movie so much I had the soundtrack. That's how you know I really love a movie, is when I go get the soundtrack. I had the soundtrack to that movie, and I watched it. I've seen it at least 48 times. And I saw it in the movies. I saw it in the movies twice, and I saw it on DVD. And then I recently bought the DVD again. And then, so So I just have to give her her flowers. Anywho, so that question is such a question that I had. And, Jeanette was speaking about when she was in therapy, the first time she went to therapy, and she was talking about her mother, and her therapist had said something about her mother. I can't recall specifically at this moment, but she said something about her mom, and Jeanette stopped going to therapy. Like, it bothered her, and she was very defensive but also protective of her mother. And I felt like, girl, your story is my story, because when I went to therapy about a year ago during the pandemic, I got back into therapy, and she had told me, I was telling her about my experiences and my experiences with my mother. And she said, you're minimizing your experience. Because everything that I went through, I kept saying, it was like I was making it small because I made it through it. So I was justifying. And when I would speak of my relationship with my mother, I was justifying because I kept empathizing or sympathizing with where she was coming from. Oh, well, she dealt with a lot of abuse, and she didn't know how to do this, and she did the best she could, and all of these things. And she was like, yeah, but you also went through abuse. You also didn't know coping mechanisms, but here you are trying to learn. She had that same opportunity to learn as well. And I was like, well, she had kids and she tried, but she still could have learned. She still could have tried to get better. You cannot minimize your experience by trying to justify someone else's pain. Ooh, bitch. So then we had another session, and she was like, I had missed my mother. I had moved out, got my own place. I had moved with her because I had left an abusive relationship. I moved out on my own. Then when I moved out I left him, and I was living on my own. Quarantine happened. And so I just felt like my time was up where I was. So I moved back home because I really needed to heal. I was going through depression and the trauma of what I experienced in that relationship. I just felt like it wasn't safe for me to go and be by myself any longer. And I didn't really want to go home, but my mother was very open. She always would welcome me with open arms when I was at my lowest. And when I returned home, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. And it wasn't an environment where I could heal. And I learned that my mother, even though she would welcome me with open arms in my lowest, there was a sense of control that she had. In those moments she was needed. And it was when I would push away that suddenly I'm the enemy. But when I needed her, it was okay. But even when I needed her, she wasn't fully there. She was there to an extent. Don't get me wrong, she's come through, but it always felt like it had a time limit. And I remember telling her, I can't heal here. The house is chaotic. Everyone is going off. I'm easily triggered. They're triggered. We fighting, we arguing. This is just dysfunctional, and this is just not healthy. And I can't heal here. I'm not safe here. I have to leave. And I gave her a time frame of when I was going to move. I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I need to go. And so I got my own place. And my mother was jealous and told me she was jealous because of the fact that she didn't have access to me. because I was having fun and living my life, and it made her feel left out. And I started attaching to the people that were around me where I was living, because one person in particular, because I missed my family. I was very codependent on my mother, and she was very codependent on me, and it just was not good. It was not good at all. It was very unhealthy. And my therapist said, could you be attaching? And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, you're uncomfortable. You're by yourself. You're in a new environment. You're doing a lot of new things. You're doing it on your own. Could you be trying to attach to someone to feel better? Well, honey, when she said that, that got on my fucking nerves. And I was like, you know what? I don't need this. So I made it through that session. And then afterwards, I came up with the excuse that I don't like that when I'm on video with her, she's always fumbling or looking at something else, moving shit around. I understand it's, the pandemic and we're doing video chat, and I just didn't like it. Plus, I was going through a bunch of shit. And so I was just like, I needed a scapegoat, so I left. I stopped going to therapy. And in that moment, I couldn't take my truth. I couldn't take the truth that was being shown to me that was mine. And so I ran from it. And sometimes we run from our truth because it's too painful to face. Recently, in recalling a past relationship that I had that was so awful, and I was writing it down, and in writing it down, I was looking at all the things I overlooked, all the ways that I allowed things, and just, I was devastated. I was fucking devastated. It was worse than being cringy. It was just like, oh my God, how did I allow that? What the fuck? And all I kept hearing was, don't judge yourself. Think of where you were in that moment, of who you were, of what you were seeking. I was seeking asylum. I was seeking solitude. I was seeking help. Help in some type of way that was going to give me escape from what I was experiencing, and some form or feeling of what resembled love. I can't say I was looking for just love. I was looking for something that resembled love, because I really didn't know what real love was. Love is supposed to be unconditional. Real love is unconditional. Genuine love, sincere love is unconditional. The love that I received from my parents was not love. It was conditional emotion. There were conditions to receive temporary validation. And the reason it was temporary was because that validation didn't last long. When not long after, it would either be X'd out, it would be reneged, or it was met with another criticism or put down. And it was just very painful. My father has 4 children. I am the youngest. I was the only child to graduate from high school. From my understanding, my older sister didn't graduate from high school. I don't think she did. I think I was the only one that graduated from high school, if I recall properly. My father wouldn't come to my graduation. Granted, it was in another state, but he wouldn't come to my graduation. And it being in another state didn't matter because he would drive to another state many times. My older sister died. He wouldn't come to oh shit, it's gonna make me cry. He wouldn't come. He said, I didn't even go to Uncle Bubba's funeral. Y'all, let me paint a picture for you. My sister just died. I found out about 1 o'clock. It's now like 2:30. I'm on the freeway. I'm being driven to go to her house. And I'm calling my father. I'm hysterical. I have nobody. And I'm just hysterical. And he said, he says, I can't come. I said, I need you, please. I begged him, and he wouldn't come. He said, I didn't even go to Uncle Bubba's funeral. My Uncle Bubba had died, I think, that weekend or something. And I screamed at him. I said, Uncle Bubba was 109 years old. Who gives a fuck? My sister just died. And she was like a daughter to you. How could you? And he wouldn't come. I hung up on him. I cursed him out through the phone. I wrote a book. A real novel. Nice cover, everything. Book went viral. Over 1 million. What, right now? It was actually 1.6 million. I took 100,000 of the views down. So now it's at 1.5. I put the book out on Amazon. I took it down. Something had happened. I got a comment I didn't like when I put the book out. So I took it down. I edited it again, put it back out. It took me like 2 years. I got all these great comments, and I got this one comment that just shut me the fuck down. And it took me 2 years. I put the book back out. Nobody in my family read it. I had cousins who read it. My mother didn't read it. My father didn't read it. My mother said she couldn't read it because she couldn't focus on reading because she had a concussion. She had multiple concussions, so she struggled to maintain focus. But she did a notary class, an entire class for my younger sister online for her to get a notary license. She took the class for her and read all of the paperwork and did everything, but you couldn't read 10 to 15 pages from my book. My father didn't read the book. I don't have money for it. But you spend $200, $300, $400 on sneakers that you collect, but you can't buy a book that's $7.77. I said, Daddy, you don't even have to buy it. Just read the free chapters. He wouldn't read it. I'm the only one. He wouldn't read it. It was like anything that I did to better myself, it just wasn't enough. And I remember I told him, I said, you know what? Y'all make me sick. I said, I cannot stand y'all. And I said, you know, they're going to ask me if that's my father. So one day someone's going to ask me if you're my father. And I'm going to say, no, my father is in heaven. And I said, and my father said, fuck you. And I was like, nah, fuck you. And honey, it was very disrespectful. It was very disrespectful. And I remember I broke down and I cried and I just laid on the floor and I hollered and I screamed. And I asked God, I was completely prostrated on the floor. And I asked God, why? Why did you choose these people to be my parents? Why? I don't understand. Why? And all I heard in the softest voice was, they did what they were supposed to do. They were just supposed to bring you here. They did what they were supposed to do. I later learned that, and this is my belief, that we do choose our parents according to our purpose assignment. our assignment's purpose for being here on earth. Choosing them because there's certain qualities within them that you may need to fulfill your purpose. All of the pain and the abuse that I endured, I hate to say that it was necessary, but unfortunately it was, because of what I was able to conquer in healing and overcoming, and the generational curses that were broken. I was able to break the things that they couldn't, that they didn't know how, or that they just chose not to deal with. Now, let's go back to the disrespect. Because one day I asked myself, why am I so fucking disrespectful to my parents? Why is it that I cannot stand them? Why? But I love them so much. What is this? Why is it when they make me angry, I react the way that I react? Like, this is crazy. And I sat with it for a moment, and it was like, you don't have respect for your parents. And I was like, well, why don't I have, why don't I respect them? And then I started going down the list of everything that has happened, and it was like, oh, that's why. Because you never felt protected by your parents, because you always felt like an afterthought, because of this and that and Now, most people will say, but those are still your parents. You're still supposed to honor them. You're still supposed to respect them. I had to learn that. And it wasn't until recently, actually this year, it was either this year or the end of last year, that I was able to say, okay, I get it. They are the way that they are because of what they went through and didn't heal. And having a level of empathy for their pain and understanding from the unhealed place of why they made the decisions that they've made. It was like, okay, I get it now. I understand. Suddenly there was this opening in my heart of love and grace and even respect for my parents that was so profound to me. And it took my own healing, my own stepping out of my ego of pointing fingers and looking at myself and looking at my own decisions that I made from an unhealed place and seeing, oh, okay, so I showed up this way because of this. So that's probably why they showed up this way because of this. Not excusing. Now that is the part where I battled, where I double dutched. Excusing their behavior and their actions because I understood, because I had compassion, because I didn't want to tell my truth and make them look a certain way because I understood their pain. You can understand someone's pain and still not silence your truth with them. And that is something that I am learning to accept now. You can also have compassion for someone's pain and choose not to deal with them. That is also something that I've learned and am coming to accept. Here's my truth. I have endured a lot of abuse. I have worked very hard to come out of a victim mentality. That is what I have been in for a very long time. I think Jay-Z said it. He did say it. Jay-Z said, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And I always felt like it was happening to me. There was always something to be sad about. It was like, God, I had a homegirl back in the day. She said, I'm going to be real with you, honey. I'd be praying for you and be like, God, can you please give her a break? She was like, honey, the life that you live. She was like, since we were kids, you just be going through it. Like, damn. I was like, facts. She was like, fuck. She was like, I don't understand. And she was like, you make it through it, but damn, you, girl. I was like, I know. It's been shown to me that my family cannot have a part in my life. This is my truth. So at this point, we may cross paths in the future, but they are not allowed to be in my life. That is my truth. So I'm 34. I hate to use this word. I would be considered an orphan. But I feel like God is my family. The ancestors that are rooting for me are my family. The people who share the same features as me and who share the same DNA and even bloodline are not my family. And that has been very painful to accept. Nah, actually, that's not true. Accepting it, I'm all right. Accepting it, we cool. We cooler than the other side of the pillow. Accepting it hasn't been the problem. It was hard at first. Accepting it hasn't been the problem. You know what's been the problem? The letting go. That's been the problem. The acceptance of it, I'm cool actually. I accept it. I'm all right. I'm actually at peace about it. The letting go. The realization, thank you, Spirit. The finality of it. Like, yo, this is really final. This is a real decision that is final. This is what it is. That's been hard. That part has been hard. I told God last night, every night I want to pray for them. Every single night. And I stopped myself because there was a night one day where I prayed. One night I had prayed for them and I dreamed about them and I kept dreaming about them. And I cried to God last night and I said, Lord, every night I want to pray for them. And I opened my mouth to do it and I stopped myself because I don't want to dream about them. I don't want to see them in my dreams. I keep dreaming about them. And each dream, I'm telling my mother that she's not going to see me again, or I'm seeing her daughters, or or her son. Like, I just don't want to see them. And it's not out of anger. It's not out of animosity. It's because I'm going to cry. Okay, it's okay if you cry, Taylor. It's okay. If you cry, it's okay. Because if I dream it, I still have to wake up and face the fact that it was just a dream. I have to face the fact that that's the only time I can see them, is in a dream. And that hurts. Ooh. My truth is, all my life, I have wanted a family. All my life, I've wanted to be accepted by my family. All my life, I have wanted to be unconditionally loved by my family. And God has sent people in my life who have showed me more love and kindness than those who share the same DNA as me. I kept trying to make it work. And when my sister died, to me, my sister was my mother and my sister. So she was sister by DNA. She was mother in love and in spirit. She was my mom. And I truly believe that I chose my mother as my mother to have my sister, Camellia, on my path. I genuinely believe that. Because if it wasn't for her, I don't know where or who I would be. She was and is the angel that kept me going. She was the only one that saw me. Everybody talked shit about me. Everybody made me out to be just this horrible child, and I wasn't. But she got me. We were children speaking about, I don't know if we were talking about reincarnation, but I know we were talking about purpose and angels, and we would have these in-depth, beautiful, high-quality conversations. I remember being like 10 years old and talking about this with her. And she was 6 years older than me, but we would just have really deep conversations because I was very ahead of my time, and she respected that. She never made me feel like you're too young to understand something. If I didn't understand, she explained it to me. And she just got me. She didn't try to make me feel small or like I was too much. Even in her death, I find myself still going because of her love and the joy and that enduring spirit, resilience that she had. I know that God has carried me, but the flame that is inside of me that sometimes dims will not go out because of her. And I believe that that is why I chose my mother to be my mother. It was for my sister. I really believe that. My mother has charm, and I've inherited her charm. She's very intelligent, very beautiful, and so is my father. But I believe it was all meant for me to meet my sister. Maybe in another life she was my mother. Maybe in another life she was. Or my best friend. My truth is that I am alone. And it's really hard sometimes. Caught in between loving being by myself and feeling lonely. And knowing that I cannot reach out to people that are no longer my family, but just relatives. People related by DNA, but they are not my family. And I'm not angry at anyone. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I love them so much. I literally cry because they're gone. I'm mourning the fact that they're gone. But God has shown me, in order for you to go where I am going to take you, you have to let them go. And he has told me this for years, and I refuse to accept it. And last year, he told me again numerous times. And it took an ass whooping for me to be like, all right, you know what, God? I'm going to roll with you, homie. I'm going to roll with you on this one, OG, because I'm cool. But I'm lonely. I love being by myself. I love it. I love being by myself. Y'all don't even understand. You mean, listen, they call me an ambivert. You're extroverted when you need to be, but really, I'm an introvert. If I'm being my true, authentic self, I am a true introvert. What? I don't have to talk to nobody? Are you kidding me? I ain't got to call. There have been so many friends that I have made and could have kept, and I've let them all go. Not that they've done anything wrong. I just don't want to have to keep up with having to call you or it's like, I just want to be alone. I just want to be by myself, which is probably not healthy because now I'm lonely. But, I'm trying to work on that whole codependent thing. And so I'm like, well, maybe I need to be by myself. But I love being by myself. Oh my God, it's fucking awesome. You get to have conversations with you and shit. Be healing and identifying stuff about yourself. And I crack myself up. Oh my God, I am so funny. I'm hilarious. It's a good time. You know what I'm saying? If I want to do random karaoke, I can. If I want to watch stupid videos, I can. Some people like pimple popping videos. I like watching people clean, like doctors clean earwax out of the ears. I know it's weird, but that's the shit I do in my spare time. I liked it. However, I'm lonely. And a part of me doesn't know how to, or even want to connect. At this point in my life, I'm trying to open my heart to the things that I want to receive, which is receiving love. Not just from a man, but just period. Just love. Any form of love. Any form of love that is genuine. Let me be clear. Not any form of love. Forms of genuine, sincere, pure, authentic love. My issue is that there is a fear of getting close to anyone. I am fearful of it. I am uncomfortable with it. I don't know right now if it's because there always comes a point where I have to let someone go, it being their season, or the complex PTSD, which is at a certain point you start not to trust people. You start to feel like people are against you because of what you've been through, and you start to pull away, you start to isolate. Those are one of the symptoms of it. I don't know if it's my just wanting to be alone and not have the responsibility of having to keep up with people and be there for anyone, and just wanting to be selfish and be there for myself. I couldn't pinpoint it for you right now. I just know that I love being alone, but I am currently lonely. And I feel like I'm on a seesaw and I'm right in the middle. I love this, but at the same time, I'm uncomfortable. That is my truth. I love being alone. However, my loneliness is making me uncomfortable. The loneliness is a separate emotion. You can love being alone and also be lonely. It's a separate emotion. Loneliness has been very triggersome for me throughout the years because I have experienced so much neglect and abandonment that loneliness is like being in a dark closet for me. And so I try to find ways to enjoy being alone. But the loneliness is showing itself by me trying to distract myself from it, which is spending hours on YouTube. Hours, baby, hours on YouTube. If I watch one more damn YouTube video, I know something. I spend hours, and it's like a fucking rabbit hole. Somehow I'm watching mukbangs, and I'm watching not cat videos, but like smiling dogs and dogs with babies, and babies dancing, and then somehow we get to the earwax videos, and then we're watching podcasts and shorts and all types of shit. And it's like, damn, I've been on this bitch for about 4 hours. What the hell? Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I'm a person that doesn't like social media, but I am on YouTube a lot, trying to distract myself from the discomfort of being lonely. However, in the same interim, I fucking love it. Oh my God, I love it. I don't have to give my energy to anybody but my dogs. I don't have to, oh man, it's a fucking whimsical time. Let me tell you, it's awesome. It's fucking awesome, okay? I have to use the F word because it's fucking awesome. It's a battle. I can't call my relatives. I cannot have any communication with them. God has already told me you cannot communicate with them. And so I can't call anybody. I can't tell anyone how I'm doing. If I'm emotional or I'm having a good day or a not so good day, I have to just feel it and work through it on my own and feel whatever that is that I'm feeling and pray or distract myself. And I'm trying to get out of the habit of distracting myself from what I feel. It used to be when I would feel uncomfortable, I would eat. I would eat to distract myself from feeling I needed some type of pleasure, so I would eat. Now I'm not doing that. So now it's like I'm on YouTube. And I'm trying to wean myself off of it. My truth is that feeling the pain, feeling the depth of what I feel is more uncomfortable than the silence. And speaking about it and telling it is more uncomfortable than feeling it. But the bravery, the courageousness, if that's a word, is more profound than it all. Well, that is it for this episode of It's My Legacy podcast. Thank you so much for spending time with me. We've laughed, I've cried, and I have been extremely honest. And my truths may not be your truths, or they may be similar, or they may be the same. But the thing that connects us is the empowerment of acknowledging our truth, of standing in our courage and power to tell our truth, sitting in the discomfort of feeling the effects of our truth, and even speaking it when no one may want to hear it, when people may want to change it, when people may want to gaslight you or minimize it. Still choosing to stand on it is probably the most powerful thing you can do. Still choosing to shout it and be heard, unchanging in your truth, whether people are willing to accept it, validate it, embrace it, or not. Truth is unchanging, and it is a superpower. Because whether it is liked or appreciated, it must always be respected. Until we meet again, my darlings, and I hope it's this way, have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your love. And thank you for tuning in.